Comics, good.
Good.
Comic books,
Good.
Hey, welcome to another episode of iFanboy, the video podcast based off the discussion site iFanboy.com. I'm Ron, and I'm here with
Conor.
And I'm Josh. We talk about weekly books on the audio show. And
the books that are released on a weekly basis.
Right. We gotta. And a lot of shows we'll go into some things, but every once in a while we like to dive into our vaults, our collective storehouse of comic books,
yes,
and just talk about something randomly that made us happy.
Right.
And we're going to do that again because we like to do that.
And we have miles of shelving filled with comics. So I'm going to start.
They're literally vaults.
The book I'm talking about this week, or that I pulled out of my vault, is The Savage Dragon Volume 1, which is by Erik Larsen, one of the Image founders. And when they launched Image in 1992, each Image founder had a signature book. The Savage Dragon was Erik Larsen's. Before that, Erik Larsen was working on Spider-Man at Marvel, and he'd had become a fairly big name in the late 80s, early 90s. And so he launched his title, Savage Dragon. And what's interesting about Savage Dragon is that of all of the titles that are going, that and Spawn are really the only ones that have continued this far later going on. And so a lot of talk has been made in San Diego. We saw the Image Founders panel and the recent book about Image. So I was thinking about it, so I kind of went back to my shelf. I was like, let me dust this one off. So
and dusty it was.
And dusty
So
it was.
that's the trade of the original.
This is the trade of the original miniseries that launched the series. And basically what it is that it's Larsen chose the route of going, as opposed to a team book, he went with a single character. So the Savage Dragon, this guy with the fin on it, the green fin type thing. And he went with the mystery angle. The book starts with a burning field and Savage Dragon just naked laying in the fetal position.
You don't know where it came from.
Don't know where it came from,
who he is.
why he looks like that, why he's green, why he has powers. And the cops pick him up and he wakes up in the hospital and they say, "Who are you?" And he's like, "I don't know." And they say, "Okay, well, where'd you come from?" He's like, "I don't know." And so then the cop says, "We're having a hard time in Chicago. Would you be a cop?" and we're off.
How many pages?
Possibly 3. Yeah, I think like by the third. Well, he's reluctant at first. What happens is that the cop says, "Listen, it takes place in Chicago. It's crime-ridden. There's a lot of superpowered criminals going on in this universe."
Now, how they know he's superpowered already?
Well, he's a big green dragon.
Green, strong, and stuff like that. And they said, "Look, you look like you could handle yourself in a fight. We need help." And Dragon was like, he kind of took like a smart Hulk angle, where he's like, "I just want to be left alone. Like, just leave me alone." So he gets a job helping a warehouse, that like wearing the wife beater, kind of move boxes, and the criminals hit his employer. Mm-hmm. And he kind of gets pulled into the fray very reluctantly. He's part of the Savage Dragon. The theme throughout the whole thing is that he knows he has power, he knows he's got responsibility, but he also just wishes everybody would just leave him alone. Mm-hmm. Like trouble seems to find this character. And so we watch as he helps avenge the wrong that's been done initially to the guy who was very nice to him, and then he decides to join the police force, and then just shit hits the fan left and right. Mm-hmm. There's a little bit of a romance plot, and I don't want to spoil it for everybody, but there's a bit of a romance plot. Let's just say the girl that he meets doesn't make it alive out of this book. Actually, in a very kind of
that is a spoiler.
Well, no, but in a very kind of shocking kind of way, kind of that Gail Simone probably wouldn't like, but it was 1992. It was a different time.
He's referring to the famous Gail Simone Girls in Refrigerators article started by the Green Lantern story, where Kyle Rayner's girlfriend was put in a refrigerator, which started off a series of really violent deaths for women in comics.
Yeah, exactly.
Is this it right here?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, we'll throw it up on the screen. She gets shot in the head. Anyway, this is the beginning of what has become a very quiet epic of our time, of our generation. I mean, they're in the issue 100 and teens, I think, at this point. Larsen has written and drawn every issue. He has recently started doing the lettering himself.
Well, you still hear about it.
It comes out all the time.
It comes, well, no, unfortunately, recently, as Larsen has taken on the publisher role in Image, it's kind of slowed down in its release schedule, that sort of thing. But every time it comes out, it's really, really good. The whole series has kind of taken ups and downs, and it's one of those things where I really want to recommend it to folks, but I don't know if I could say, you know, like every now and then there's been a good jumping on point, but honestly the best jumping on point is this first trade, retelling the first story. And what's really cool is he started doing archives, kind of like the Marvel Essentials. So this is actually, you can get this actually in a thicker collection in black and white, and it just looks awesome. It looks really cool. So
now, are these available in color?
Yeah, they're available in the back
like
catalog.
All the way through?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So.
That's the only Image book you really still hear about from the founders. I mean, Spawn still goes, but you don't ever.
McFarlane's not doing
No one ever talks about Spawn. People still really like Savage Dragon. That's amazing that he's kept that up for. I
have every issue. I love it. It's been one of my favorite titles. He's been very experimental throughout the series. This kind of starts off very kind of I don't want to say simple, but kind of because it's just starting. You know,
it's splash pagey.
It's very splash pagey. It's very early '90s, but through the life of the series, he's gotten a lot of influences, a lot of nods, to the Kirbys and the Frazettas and the like the kind of Eric Larson is somebody who is in it for the love of comics. We talk about
he's
that a lot.
He's a historian.
He loves the golden age. He loves all that kind of stuff, and his labor of love is this title, and it shows even in this first issue, even amongst the glut compared to Youngblood and Cyberforce and all this kind of stuff. This still stood out as a little purer than those other titles. Mm-hmm. So
it was completely different. The other ones were kind of like like hardcore, sort of metallic, lots of aliens. I mean, there's monsters, but
he's a cop. Yeah, he's a cop.
It was
Chicago.
It was totally different kind of book than all the other books when they came out. It was really. I remember really loving it when it was.
It's kind of. And I remember I only tried to pick this. I tried to pick it up at a few points.
Yeah.
Just like I can't follow it.
Right.
Because I don't know, it's probably around 2002 or something. I just bought a random issue and I was like, that didn't make any sense. But to me, is it kind of self-referential? Like, does it nod that it is a comic book at times? Or
it did early on in the beginning. Like actually in this trade, there's because it was early on in Image, they were trying to cross-promote folks and whatever. And in like the third or fourth issue, Bad Rock from Youngblood comes and just picks a fight with Savage Dragon, and they're fighting. And Dragon is just like, why are you fighting me? Leave me alone. And finally, Bad Rock's like, I'm just seeing if you're tough enough to join Youngblood. And Dragon just punches him and goes, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. And Bad Rock says, happens in Marvel Comics all the time. But that could be the character referring to that there are comics in their universe, and so he's applying that logic. But that died out very quickly.
Okay.
It died out very, very quickly.
It was always very independent.
Yeah. So Savage Dragon by Eric Larson, Image Comics. I strongly recommend it. One of my favorite books of all time.
And now I'm going to talk about my book.
Okay.
Because you're done.
I'm done.
Okay, fine. That's
wow. It's all it's all bent and stuff.
That's just not right.
I love this book. Look, smell it. Oh. This is just real quickly. I bought this in 1993. It's got that good paper stock smell. I bought this in '93. It probably looks different now.
Yeah, it's probably different.
But so anyway.
I'm going to talk about Scalped from Vertigo, written by Jason Aaron.
That's a newer book.
And R.M. Garrett. It's a very new book. This trade just came out. I have to start off. I have an apology.
Yes.
Wow.
I have an apology.
Let's do it.
I bought the first issue.
Mea culpa.
Yeah, when this issue came out, I bought the first issue, and I was like, this is stupid. It's just a rip-off.
He did it on our audio show.
It was a rip-off of the 100 Bullets. It was just felt very rote, and like it had been done, like it was trying to exist in a genre that wasn't. Now, who knows why I thought that way or whatever, but I've heard a lot of good things about it since then, and so when the trade came out, I said I'm going to jump back on the train, and
it's been a big buzz book this summer.
You know what?
It's one of the big buzz books.
It's really quite good, and it's good in a way that is not like 100 Bullets, in that there's a very clear storyline.
Well, we'll tell people what the basic story for Scalped is.
Basically, what you have is if there's an Indian reservation, and the big boss of the Indian reservation is the chief of the tribe and the head of the casino that they're about to put up, which is going to
supposedly flow money back into the reservation.
So it's like Mohegan's Sun.
Prosperity.
Yeah.
Okay. And a drifter comes into town, and he's been away for a long time, but he's back, and that's Dashiell Badhorse. And he comes in, and he's the toughest hombre this side of the Rio Grande.
Toughest son of a bitch.
And there's again, this is not.
He's from the town. He grew up there and left.
But he left since the time he was 13, and now he's older. Apparently, he was in the war for a little while, and he just comes back and he's kicking everybody's ass. So the big boss man hires him, and then the twist at the end of the first issue, and
it's not really spoiling it.
Yeah, it's not. Is that he's an FBI agent, so he's there undercover. But the whole story is about who is he really with. Like he's really the reluctant anti-hero, and he's not entirely likable. And
is he really with the FBI? Is he loyal to the FBI? Is he loyal to his heritage? Is he loyal to this guy who's hiring him and is paying him? And it's really violent, but it's not like gratuitously violent. I think
this is not a kid's book. It's like,
well, it's a Vertigo book.
Basically, what it's done is, and I don't know how much research he did or whatever, but basically the reservation where these people live is just horrible.
That's how the reservations are.
Right. There's ridiculously high unemployment, and there's huge alcoholism rates, and like it's basically taken the American urban ethos and put it into a Native American context, so like where everybody's just sort of antisocial and nobody gives a fuck about anything, and that's sort of this hopeless setting where we start at. And one of the things that really stood out to me about this book is that the plot is not the most original thing ever. It's almost exactly the same thing as if you ever saw the Showtime series Sleeper Cell. It's almost exactly the same thing as that, which was really good. But there's a feeling that is in the writing and in the artwork, and it is this feeling of tension, of this constant looking over your shoulder and this constant nervous energy. And if you were like, just everything is coming after you all the time, and there are bullets around every corner, and it's just like the whole thing is like, just like you can't.
And everybody has got a secret. Everybody's got a dark thing in their past. Everybody's hiding something, and
You're reading this in issues?
I'm reading this every month.
So this isn't a current series, so you can go buy it in your store now. And
if you buy this trade, you only have 2 to 3 issues to catch up to where it is now. It's actually, they put it up very quickly.
This first trade goes 1 through 5. When you see this, the current issues will be on 10 or 11.
Yeah, probably. Then probably the next trade will be out then very shortly. It's easy to catch up on.
Yeah. And then Vertigo is all about their trade program. So really, you can read it like this, and then you just get the next trade or whatever. They always price their first trades at like $10, which is a beautiful thing to get new people on.
Smart.
That actually makes it $2 an issue if you want to look at it that way.
Yeah. I bet it reads really well.
Artwork is by R.M. Guerra, who I'm not familiar with. At first, it seems a little muddy, and I think that it's very dark, but actually that fits the story.
Yeah.
I think that in the very first couple of issues, there were some storytelling issues where I think that they were working out how they work together. It's getting better as I go through it.
This is definitely a series that's gotten better with every issue.
It really remember when it started, you guys were very critical and kind of dismissive.
No, I liked it a lot.
Right, no, but I remember he mainly was, but I remember you were tentative with it though when it started.
It was good.
Yeah. Well, because at first it did seem kind of rote, and now going forward, it has become interesting. It feels like a Vertigo book, and it was we talked about. I mean, it is a Vertigo book. It has that intangible quality that like this is where it belongs. And if you liked Vertigo books in the past, that hard bitten. If you liked 100 Bullets, but you also want to know what the hell is going on, this is a good book for you.
So it's more like 100 Bullets than a Fables in terms of Vertigo.
Yeah,
it's more
the dark corner.
It's a little easier to follow than that.
Cool.
Well, it's completely realistic. There's no.
And like I said, that the artwork captures that feeling of intensity so well. It's almost loose, but it's sketchy, and it's really great. And covers by Jock.
Yeah, he's
your boy.
He's a great cover
artist. I wish Jock was on the inside of the book. That got weird for me. Let's
really weird.
What a good time to do sponsors.
Let's talk about Netflix. Netflix.com is our favorite place to go for movies. It should be yours too. www.netflix.com/iFanboy is the place you go to get a 2-week free trial where you make a list. They send you the movies, you watch them, keep them as long as you want, send them back. There's no late fees. There's fast shipping. It's just very convenient for the modern movie renting. I don't rent from stores anymore.
I've been a customer of Netflix since 2000 or so, back when they had the yellow envelopes, now red. So it's great.
So if you go to Netflix, they have plans starting as low as $4.99. You can go from 1 movie a month to 3 at a time, and we love it. Netflix.com/iFanboy.
Cool. And if you have any of the internet needs, if you need to register a domain name or you need to set up a website, get a blog going, get email, that sort of thing, you can head over to GoDaddy.com. GoDaddy.com is honestly the best place to register domain names and manage all of your kind of web infrastructure kind of thing, if that's your take. So if you go to www.godaddy.com and use the coupon code iFanboy when you're checking out, you can get 10% off your initial order, which is very cool and very convenient. So.
What is the internet?
It's a bigger question. We'll talk later.
Okay.
So head over to GoDaddy.com and get your own piece of the internet. So thank you.
All right, I wanted to talk about it's a Batman Elseworlds book, which I haven't done since the first time we did this.
Big surprise.
I've only done that one at a time.
Sure, it seems like more.
Yeah. Batman Gotham Noir, which is a book from 2001. It's by three guys that we hardly ever talk about. Ed Brubaker writing, Sean Phillips on the art, and Dave Stewart as the colorist.
So their checks came in this month. Then.
They did. They cleared. It was awesome.
They have no idea who.
This is this is Elseworlds at its finest, where you take, the Elseworlds was an old DC line where they took their characters that were familiar and they put them in unfamiliar situations or times or scenarios, and this is Gotham City in 1940s noir setting, and the main character is Jim Gordon, and he's an ex-cop, he's a private eye, he's a drunk. Nice. He's lost his wife and his daughter, and he's down and out. And then Selena Kyle walks into his office and gives him a case, and it goes from there. Batman is in it, but he's only in it completely in silhouette. You never actually see him. He's always just completely black with eyes.
Oh wow.
And then there's some familiar faces. Harvey Dent and the Joker show up, and it's all from a realistic noir standpoint. And there's a murder of a young, beautiful girl, and he's got to figure out who. And it's actually, it gets really dark, and this sort of the circumstances behind the murder are really screwy. If you saw Scene of the Crime, it's kind of in that vein. And Brubaker's one of his old Brubaker and Michael Lark's old
look that up
independent work.
Good. I haven't read it.
I recently just reread this, and I was blown away by how much I liked it. I think when it first came out, I liked it. I was like, I bought it, but I didn't like it as much as having known Phillips and Brubaker's work since then. I really appreciated it more.
Does it have like a pulpy kind of feel?
Yeah, totally. The narration it's like watching a Humphrey Bogart movie. I mean, it's like Gordon is the Bogart character. He's all hard bitten. And if you're a fan of Gordon, and I know. Not the intern, but Jim Gordon.
Yeah. Good distinction.
This is a book for you. I mean, they brought him back recently to the DCU, but they really don't give him any play whatsoever. He doesn't show up in any of the Batman books at all, hardly any. Maybe he'll stand around the crime scene and smoke, and he hasn't smoked anymore, I guess, but he smokes in this one. But this is great Gordon stuff. This is interesting work from Brubaker.
So now, being where we're at now with Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips on the successful Criminal series that's been coming out from the Icon line,
Eisner
Award-winning Criminal. How does this compare to Criminal, which is like their noir kind of platform?
It's very, very similar. And actually, I thought about that as I read this because it's the same team. From Criminal, if you read Criminal, you know that Brubaker loves old crime noir, and he writes essays in the back of it talking about old crime noir movies.
Other people do and stuff like that.
But he did the first one.
Yeah.
The love of it just permeates this. He loves old, like, shadowy.
And he does it really well.
And this is great.
I wonder if not for this, we probably wouldn't have Criminal.
Maybe. I don't know.
Because the team that put the team together.
It's the same team, and it looks fantastic. So Batman's he's a shadowy character. And,
I love Jim Gordon.
Yeah.
And you're right. I hadn't realized it. Like, he's back, but I feel like I haven't seen him.
They've completely squandered bringing him back and done nothing with him. But
you got him in the movies, and it's Gary Oldman, who owns him. It's awesome.
But if you like, those old like Maltese Falcon.
If you think about it, there's a lot of the really best Batman stories have Jim Gordon as a really major component. Batman Year One needs Jim Gordon in it, which is where they got the Batman Return. Or Batman
this is similar to that in that in Year One, Gordon and Batman are the two main characters. And this is kind of, even though it's the Elseworlds 40s version, this is kind of like that Gordon. He's a little more. It's kind of like if that Gordon had screwed up and he got kicked off the force and just turned to alcohol. This is kind of like this Gordon.
Nice. That's cool. That's all.
It opens with him passed out in the bar, like on a. I mean, he's hit rock bottom. He used to date Selena, and he and Bruce are old army. They were in a platoon together. They were
nice
because it was the 40s. Bruce would have had to gone to war. So. Cool. It's really, this is a fantastic book. And there's also, if you're a New York City historian, there's a little bit of the Judge Crater mystery in here. The famous judge who just one day just disappeared off the street in the 20s. And
that's pretty cool.
They incorporate that. They change his name, but it's the same exact circumstances. And that was a really cool little thing, too.
They weren't really known back then. I mean,
no, they weren't. 2001.
Yeah, wow, that was really early.
This was, Brubaker had done the Batman books. This was after that, I think. When did he stop doing those?
I don't even know.
He did it when we were in college, so that was before 2001.
Those Brubaker Batman books, I remember they didn't start off like blowing the world away.
No, they didn't. I didn't like them. If you recall.
Yeah.
But this is the tail end. I think this is one of the things he did later. I think once he built up his cred with the Batman books, I think he probably got to do this because you can tell that this is what he likes to do.
I wonder if that probably also helped usher in Gotham Central. So if you like Gotham Central, you'll probably be into this one too.
Yeah, Gotham Central fans, criminal fans, old noir, detective story fans, Batman fans, anybody, those people I think would love this book.
That's hitting on a lot of notes.
Yeah, no, this is a really fantastic Elseworlds book.
I hope you can find it.
And this is, you know what this does? I read this and I get pissed that they discontinued the line because it leads to great stories when they can do this stuff.
Yeah. So, so these are all some great books, some classic, kind of image superhero kind of thing, a little Vertigo action, a little Batman, Elseworlds kind of thing. If you want to find these books, you can head over to iFanboy.com/Amazon and search for them. You can find a lot of these books on Amazon. We'll put up some links to buy them directly.
On iFanboy.com.
Yeah, exactly. But in the meantime, if you have any suggestions for books that we should read or, these remind you of a book that we should check out, you can email us at contact@ifanboy.com.
Or if you want to call up and talk to us via recorded message.
Well, we won't talk back. It'll just be you talking.
We don't talk to you ever. No.
What's the phone number?
888 fanboys is the voicemail line, and that's as close as you'll get.
326-2697. So, like we said before, at www.ifanboy.com, there's going to be links to these books, and you can also go there and discuss the books and discuss anything in comics, the weekly pick of the week, which we do every week, and just any kind of comic book discussion. That's at ifanboy.com. And then also there's the forums at revision3.com. You go to the forums section, you look at iFanboy, or you can go, there's a link to the forums on our homepage at iFanboy, and you can go there and discuss your own topics or interact with the community, which is really freaking cool, if I might say so myself.
I think one of my favorite things about doing this is that I don't know about everything that's in this library, so I definitely want to check those out. And I want you to read this from the beginning. We're going to get all the archives.
Are you going to have them available that I can read?
Maybe.
Because I don't want you to give me this and be like, oh, now you have to check on 110 issues.
I think for the first time ever, I've read all 3.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So I don't have any work to do.
But a long time ago.
Yeah, I think you need to reread this because I had the same reaction.
Awesome. Well, we have reading to do then. Can you get a little more throat into it? I can't work like this.
Comics.
Just cut it off.